When it's time to scale your business, it's time for Shopify. Get everything you need to grow the way you want. Like, all the way. Stack more sales with the best converting checkout on the planet. Track your cha-chings from every channel, right in one spot. And turn real-time reporting into big-time opportunities. Take your business to a whole new level. Switch to Shopify. Start your free trial today.
British Spy Stories Season 7 Rogue Assassin Episode 2 Gabby pushes the door to the lounge bar Le Faubourg in Berlin's Charlottenburg district. She is shown to a table in a discreet corner and sits in one of the Bauhaus Walter Gropius chairs in this place. She orders a bottle of Meursault with 2 glasses, and within 5 minutes she can see her guest arrive, and the woman is shown across to her table, and they hug. "Seems like ages, Kate." "You've been very busy, I heard," says Kate. Her blonde hair is tied back, and her blue eyes flicker with excitement. Kate Grosvenor is Agent Coniston, one of the best snipers in British intelligence. She works within the elite C9 assassination branch of MI6, and carries out terminations when they are approved by the British government. "You're an heiress now," says Gabby. "You don't need to work." "I'll never walk away, Gab. I love it too much." A waitress approaches them and they order Gebeizte Meerbarbe and risotto milanese. "You know Arabella Cavendish, Agent Marwell, very well, don't you?" says Gabby. "Of course. We worked together on numerous outings." "Tell me about the events that led to her dismissal." "She was stopped from working the day after her 30th birthday. It took the Crows less than an hour to remove her from the building." Kate uses the nickname for the MI6 Internal Investigations Branch. "What work was she doing outside?" "Freelance assassination for a gang leader called Noah Fisher. He's based in Austria. He runs a drugs network in Vienna and Salzburg. He has routes in from the Adriatic and across Croatia and Slovenia. But he pays the local judiciary and police, so he never gets arrested. They raided his home the same day that Marwell was removed from MI6, but they couldn't get any evidence to stick, and he walked away a free man." "How did we find out that she was moonlighting?" says Gabby, as she drinks from her glass. "We had a mole inside the gang. Marwell didn't know. London were concerned that Fisher was starting to consider gun running as well as drugs," says Kate. "So they sent in an agent to infiltrate the gang, someone you and I know very well. It was Agent Riverside." Their food arrives. "Knowing how an assassin's mind works, Kate, how do we find Arabella Cavendish?" "She'll have her safe places, houses she's lived in, or hotels that she's used when she was working for us. I've already put a research order into London to trawl Marwell's ops history and identify a list of possible locations." "Marwell wouldn't just kill for the sake of it, though, would she?" says Gabby. "Absolutely not. She's a professional. Aitken's death will have been planned. There are only 2 reasons why assassins do their work. Either they're being paid, or it's a personal vendetta. But there's always a good reason to take someone's life in their mind. If there wasn't, they'd go insane." "Do we know if there's a connection between her and Aitken?" "The client option is more likely," says Kate. "Being an assassin is a science, Gab. It's not an art. It's about exactness. It's like a watchmaker. You're taught to be a machine. You're taught to concentrate on every little step. Assassins think they're gods, that they're unstoppable. Her pattern will be sophisticated, so she feels intellectual. It will help her ignore the fact that her job is just about ending someone's life." "We need to be one step ahead of her, Kate," says Gabby. "We should get a geotag on her." Gabby pulls out her phone and selects the Alabaster geotagging app from the MI6 suite. "We should be able to attach a tag onto her image from the satellite feed yesterday when I was fighting her in the street." Gabby scrolls back to the right time code on the satellite stream and turns her phone for Kate to see. Here, 1305. The Hotel Adlon Kempinski. We should see Marwell and me coming out of the doors in a second. They watch and can see the women running out of the hotel, then scuffling on the pavement, before Marwell escapes on the dirt bike. If we stop it there, says Gabby, I can attach the geotag to the bike and it should show the route it took. A blue line flows out on the road system until it stops a few seconds later. It stopped in Oberschöneweide in eastern Berlin, down by the river, she says. We'll drive out and have a look, and see where Arabella went. The grey and solid Thames House is only 15 minutes from Downing Street. This building has been the headquarters of MI5 for 30 years, which is 5 years longer than Connie Barrett has been in the service. She was recruited as a field officer whilst still in Oxford and worked on criminal infiltration, then increasingly complex terrorism cases, as her 20s progressed. Connie quickly gained a reputation as having a natural ability for espionage across the three broad spy skill areas of analysis, strategy, and field operations. She was rapidly promoted on a fast-track scheme until she was appointed to her current job 5 years ago as the head of MI5 operations. Connie reads a set of stapled papers marked Top Secret as she sits behind a large oak desk in her office on the 4th floor that has a view over the water. Her green eyes scan the words beneath her brunette hair, and she flicks to the next page. There's a quiet knock on the adjoining door from her assistant's office, and the small and dark Janice walks in. The people are here for the 12:30, ma'am. I made teas. Janice places a tray with a teapot, milk jug, cups and saucers on an oak sideboard along the back wall. Are you in the office for lunch, ma'am? No, I just had a message from the Cabinet Secretary at number 10, inviting me to a working late lunch. Can you show my guests in, please, Janice, if you would? Connie walks to a chair at one end of a long table that dominates the room, but she doesn't sit down yet. The door opens again, and Janice shows in 3 people. Hello again, Rob. Connie reaches out her hand to Agent Riverside, with his neatly cut fair hair. Let me introduce another of our MI6 people that Sir Bernard has seconded over for this operation, mum, says Riverside. He holds his hand out to indicate a woman in her early 30s, with light brown hair. She is as tall as he is. Agent Talgoth, mum. I've heard of you, says Connie. You're Ivy, aren't you? Yes, mum. Sir Bernard said you were working with Gabby Lane a few months ago and you excelled. Thank you, mum. I did my best. And you must be our researcher, says Connie, looking at the third person who came in. They shake hands. Gina Campbell, ma'am. They pour teas as they stand at the sideboard, then walk over and sit at one end of the table. Connie turns to Gina. Update us all on the events of last night, if you would. Delta 10 is a Cold War storage facility near Boreham Wood, begins Gina. It was used from the 60s for documentation that MI5 couldn't or didn't want to store in central London. She looks at the eyes around the table. It has the usual MI5 storage construction, a false domestic building at ground level, then a bomb and fireproof bunker 2 levels down that contains the storage. You may know that some of these are used for emergency medical facilities in the event of nuclear war, or as storage depots for light armaments to be used under emergency powers for civil unrest or attack. But this one, Delta 10, only has paperwork in it. The break-in was fast and efficient, she continues, judging by the lack of damage. They knew the layout and the access codes. 3 charred remains were found in the lane outside. We suspect that these men were the burglary team, and whoever was paying them to break in subsequently terminated them after the job was done. Any indication who the dead men were? Says Riverside. We only checked UK dental records so far. and there are no matches, but we're still searching. We know that the thieves were targeting Operation Bluefly documents, says Connie. Did we recover any of those at the scene? No, Mum, says Gina. Let me tell you all about Bluefly, says Connie. After the collapse of the USSR in 91, there was a feeling inside the British government that our state secrets were vulnerable to exposure through infiltration by bad actors who were embedded in commercial corporations in the City of London. MI5 was ordered to send in undercover field agents to these organisations to assess and, if necessary, stop state secrets from leaking. She sips her tea, then continues. These agents uncovered a significant level of corruption being carried out between these corporations and government. Not the leaking of state secrets, however, but illicit payments and gifts in kind, raising the spectre of blackmailable material. All of this was recorded and retained on paper files back then, pre-computer records. Bluefly was abandoned after 10 years. The agents collected a huge raft of data on the corrupt individuals. Years later, during office moves, everything was sent out to archive storage at Delta 10. A question, Mum, says Riverside. Go on. Was anyone ever prosecuted at the time? Decisions were made not to prosecute for reasons that were important back then, says Connie. Are any of the people whose names are identified in Bluefly still in positions of responsibility inside government, Mum? Says Talgarth, turning her eyes to Connie. Before I answer that, I want to confirm something to the three of you. Your personal security clearance has been raised for this operation to top secret, due to the nature of the sensitivities involved, says Connie. I'm sure I don't have to remind you that top secret information cannot be passed on under any circumstances, even if you are talking to a senior figure who may purport to have the same clearance level. She pauses and they all wait on tenterhooks. Is that clear? She says, and looks at each person in turn, who confirms their understanding. Then Connie continues. Most of the people named in Bluefly are either no longer significant, have left politics, or have died. But there's one very prominent figure in the current government who is named in the Bluefly documents, and that is David Miller, our current Home Secretary. She stops and thinks about the best way to phrase the next words as the silence buffets around the four of them inside Thames House. It puts me in a difficult position, she says, as MI5 reports into Miller. He is our minister in government. That's why the three of you have been selected for this work. Technically, you work for the Foreign Secretary, not the Home Secretary. Therefore, you don't work for me, and therefore not Miller either. If push comes to shove, we may need to step around David Miller to get things done. But let's see what happens. Sir Bernard Mackintosh, your head of operations, has given me MI6's unequivocal support if things get hairy. But only he and I, and now you three as well, know of these arrangements. You must not divulge that. We have the potential to undermine David Miller. Anything connected to this arrangement will never formally be recorded on any MI5 or MI6 system, or on your personal files. Perhaps ironically, that's something we've already learnt from the Bluefly robbery. Gabby's Aston Martin is parked in an MI6 garage, 5 minutes from the restaurant where she and Kate were having lunch. She plugs in the geotag location to the car's navigation system, and they can see a red marker on the screen half an hour away. They head southeast on the Bundesautobahn and cut across the river on the Stubenrauch Bridge. Gabby turns off the main road and heads towards the water as they pass old industrial buildings. These factories closed after the wall came down, she says. They're mostly abandoned or are being turned into event spaces now. She parks on a street that has warehouse walls rolling up 6 floors on either side. Gabby transfers the geotag to her phone, and they follow the tracer until it leads them up an alleyway squeezed between two blocks. There's a metal door in the wall of one warehouse. That's locked, and the signal is somewhere inside. "I've got some charges in the car," says Gabby, and she returns to the Aston Martin while Kate waits. Within 5 minutes she's back and presses plastic explosive around the door lock, then pushes a Bluetooth detonator into the putty. They step back and shield their eyes. Gabby presses the button on her phone screen, and there's a bang from the door, where the lock has buckled. Inside, little light creeps in through the smeary yellow paint across the windows that are regimented along the walls far into the distance. The tracer shows that they need to go to the floors above. They find a metal staircase bolted into the concrete at its base and attached to a mezzanine floor at the top. They start to climb, and the steel creaks and moves beneath their feet. Kate goes first, and as Gabby's trailing foot comes off the top step, there's an aching groan of steelwork. The bolts holding the structure pull out of the support beam, and the staircase crashes to the floor, echoing around the abandoned building. "If she's still here, she knows we're coming now," says Kate, and they exchange a glance. "It's another level up," says Gabby. They search for more stairs to get them up higher, and at the far end of the floor there's a staircase built into the corner of the building. They step out onto the second floor. Gabby holds a finger to her lips, and she flicks her hand to indicate to Kate that they'll move forward. They unholster their handguns and run silently across the grey concrete in the gloom of the warehouse. Halfway down, there's something lying on the floor. When they reach it, they can see that it's the dirt bike that Marwell had escaped on after the fight, and the source of their geotag. Beyond the bike is a wooden office with glazed walls for the supervisors to see the workforce when this place was in use. The spies split up so they can approach the office from two directions. Kate goes right, and Gabby goes left. The women make no discernible noise as they move. Kate reaches the doorway first and can see inside. "She's not here," says Kate. They both step into the office. There's a pile of cardboard boxes fashioned into the shape of a bed in one corner, and more boxes set out as a table and chair. An old iron stove stands in the centre of the room, and Gabby opens the door. "She had a fire in here," says Gabby. "It looks like she's moved on, Gab. There's nothing here that she would need. I'm trained in the same survival techniques as she is. She was here for a few days, presumably planning the attack on Aitken. Can you tell anything here from what her next move might be?" says Gabby. Kate walks around the room in silence, her eyes picking out every detail of the abandoned temporary home for Arabella Cavendish. She stops by the stove. "We need to empty this. There may be something in here." The two spies create a shovel from one of the boxes and carefully dig out the ash from the stove until there's a pile of burnt residue spread out on the floor in front of them. They set up their phone torches to illuminate their work and slowly pick through the remains. After 10 minutes they've found nothing, and Kate's phone hums in her back pocket. She interrogates the message. "The research branch have sent a list of locations, Gab, frequented by Marwell over her MI6 career." Kate reads the list. "There's an apartment in Paris, a house in the mountains in Austria, a family home in Bulgaria, and a flat in London, which they own." "Have they done CCTV recognition?" says Gabby. Kate shakes her head. "Let's call London." They sit on boxes on the floor, and Gabby puts her phone on speaker. Agent Ashwick is on duty. "Ashwick, says Gabby. Can you patch together two things, the European CCTV camera network that MI6 has access to, and the GCHQ facial recognition app? We're looking for Agent Marwell, whose facial image you can source from her MI6 personal record on the system. In London, Ashwick types and clicks. They sit in the warehouse, and the smell of the burnt ashes pervades their nostrils as they wait. It's found 2 images, Mum. I'm sending them to your phone now. The phone buzzes, and she and Kate explore the results. Some of these are old, says Kate. That one's recent there. Where is that? Gabby clicks on the location data. She was coming off the E871 road to the south of Sofia in Bulgaria. Matches the location of one of the family houses on the locations list, says Kate. How far is it by road to Sofia from here? Says Gabby. 1,000 miles, 16 hours. We'll go now. We'll take turns driving. They both stand, run back to the stairs and out of the warehouse to where Gabby parked the car. The V12 roars into life, and Gabby Lane steers out of the side street and turns south towards Bulgaria. Catch up with Gabby on her new website, GabbyLaneSpy.com, and keep across the latest as Gabby Lane comes to a screen near you. Thanks for listening. This is British Spy Stories.